Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us again today. Welcome to Mathematics Grade 8 presented by Ms. Tabo. Thank you guys so much for coming back and for your cooperation. I appreciate it so much. So at the beginning of the lesson, guys, at the end of the lesson, we'll read out our objectives of the day. So at the end of the lesson, you must be able to find percentages of a whole number without using a calculator and using a calculator, right? And the second objective, which we will do tomorrow, is calculate percentage increase or decrease. So in this case, you calculate a percentage decrease and a percentage increase, right? That's what we would do for tomorrow, and for today we will focus on finding percentage of a whole number without using a calculator or with the use of a calculator. So guys, for question 1, this question right here, which says let's do it together. So number 1, we have 26% of 150. Guys, this is how you calculate it using your calculator. Number 1, what you would say, you would convert this 26% as a fraction and then type it in as your fraction, which is 26 divided by 100 multiply by 150 equals to 39. That's your answer when you do it using your calculator, right? But then I want to show you the other way that you can use it in a long kind of method, calculating it without using a calculator, right? So what we have here in this case, we have 26 over 100. That's what we have, right? And multiply by 150. But you know that, guys, when we are multiplying a fraction by a whole number, when we did our multiplication and all, what we usually do is we would also want to convert our whole number to a fraction. So this 150 will convert it to a fraction, and then there we go, we will have 150 over 1. So we have two fractions in this case, and we will calculate it the way I taught you how to do it, which is multiplying fractions, right? And when you do multiply as fractions, you must check your opposite fractions before you can multiply your fractions, right? So now let's write a rough work right here. So it basically saying that we have 26 over 100 multiply by 150 over 1, right? Okay, so in this case, guys, you need to check your opposite numbers and try to find out the highest common factor. This is what you need to find out first before you can simplify. So we need to check our opposite numbers, right? So 26 is opposite to 1 and 150 is opposite to 100. But in this case, 26 and 1, what is the highest common factor for 26 and 1? The highest common factor for 26 and 1 is most definitely 1. And 1 won't change anything, right? We know that. And then we have other opposite numbers, which is 150 and 100, right? So in this case, our highest common factor for 150 and 100 is, yes, you got that correct, is 50. It's 50. Now, so it means that we will divide both of those numbers by 50. Now, so we'll say 150 divide by 50, and then 100 divide by 50. Now, so now since we are done with these fractions right here, let's write our new fraction. So our new fraction, we will have something like this. Okay, let's type it right here. Our new fraction will look something like this. So our new fraction will be 26 over 2 multiplied by 3 over 1, because now they are simplified. They are simplified now, so that it's going to be easier for us to calculate, right? So now we will say, now we need to multiply them since we have our new fractions, right? So when we do multiply, we obviously we have 26. We'll say 26 multiply by 3 over 2 multiply by 1, right? So after doing that, that will obviously give us a fraction, right? So our answer in this case, we will have 78 over 2, because 2 multiplied by 1 equals to 2, and 26 multiplied by 3 equals to 78, right? So now we need to simplify. Guys, you can't leave an answer like this, especially an improper fraction. When you have an improper fraction, you don't leave it like that. It needs to be simplified. Improper fraction can be simplified in two ways, which is converting it to a mixed fraction, or you can convert it to a mixed fraction, or a proper fraction, or a whole number, right? So in this case right here, 78 divided by 2 equals to what? Equals to 39. Nay, I hope this is clear. This is how you do it without the use of a calculator. You see that these numbers are doable, and you can actually calculate them using your head and not having the use of a calculator in your hand. But just in case, guys, if you want to verify your answers, you can still go back to your calculator and check. Nay. So the second example we have right here is 33. 33, and then we also have a fraction of 1 over 3% of 240. Right, now we must calculate 33%, because when we have 1 over 3 converted to being a decimal, is going to give us 0.333, and we will add it with 33, and then it's going to be 33,333 over 100, because you know that this sign right here as a percentage, it represents 100. If divide by 100, multiply by 240, right? So this is how you will punch it in your calculator, and then when you are done, you'll say 100 over 300 multiplied by 240 equals to, why is it say 1 over 3? Because it's simplified right here. They try to get the highest common factor for 100 and 300. So when we do simplify it, we'll get 1 over 3, and then multiply by 240. This is what you will get. Right, another method you can use, you can say 3,333 divide by 100, multiply by 240, and your answer will be 79,99999, not comma 0, comma 9999, comma 9999. This is what you would get, right? But then you can convert it to a whole number, right? When you do convert it to a whole number, when you make it to a whole number, it's called rounding off. Yeah, you will round it off to a whole number, and when you actually do round it off to a whole number, this is what you would get. You would get 80%. You can just type this in your calculator and you will get this. But without the use of a calculator, let's try doing it without the use of a calculator, right? So let's clear this one because we are already done with this one. Right, so now we will do the second one. How much did we have? We most definitely have 33,333 over 100 multiplied by 240. But since we are working with fractions, you know that this whole number will convert it to a fraction, right? So we'll have 240 over 1 multiply by 33,33 over 100, because you know a percentage equals to 100, right? And then after this, now we are done. So we need to simplify, because you know that when we multiply our fractions, we need to simplify. That's very important, right? So when we do simplify, let's have it right here. Let's just write it down right here. So we have 33, comma 3 3 3. It goes on and on and on, and then over 100 multiply by 240 over 1. So when we are done with this, guys, you need to simplify. What do you simplify? You simplify your opposite numbers, right? You simplify your opposite numbers. So when we do simplify our opposite numbers, guys, we must check our opposite numbers. So our opposite numbers is 33,3333 and 1, right? And another opposite number we have is 240 and 100, right? But in this case, 33,333 and 1, there's no highest common factor. Highest common factor is 1, and 1 won't basically change anything in this case, right? Okay, and then for 240 and 100, what is our highest common factor for these two numbers? Our highest common factor. Now, so our highest common factor in this case is what? Yes, you got that one right. It's 20. So since our highest common factor is 20, we need to divide both of these numbers by a 20, right? So let's divide 100 divide by 20. Yay! Okay, and then right here, let's write our new fraction. You know that when we simplify our fraction, it's not totally a new fraction, but they are equivalent fractions, right? It's simplified. This fraction and the fraction that I will write here, they are equivalent fraction because I simplified them. Next, but we wouldn't say they are equivalent, because when we want equivalent fractions, guys, we divide both numbers by the same number. So in this case, they are not equivalent. I'm sorry about that. Why? Because we didn't divide 33,333 by 20 and 100 by 20. So we need to do the numerator and denominator must be divided by the same number so that we can get our equivalent fraction, right? So now we have 100 divided by 20. So how much is 100 divided by 20? Most definitely it gives us a 5. Now, and then we'll say multiply, and then 240 divided by 20. How much is 240 divided by 20? Most definitely it is 12 over 1. So this is our new fraction in this case. Now, so now let's finish up what we were still doing right here. So our new fraction is 33,333 multiply, no, divide by 5, multiply by 12 over 1, right, equals to. So now let's multiply our fractions. So we need to multiply these numbers, which is 33,33 multiply by 12, and that will give us 399,999. Divide by how much? 5 multiply by 1, and that will give us 5. Most definitely it gives us a 5. Now, so after doing this, guys, our answer will be, we'll say 399,999 divide by 5. How much will we get? Our answer will be 7,999, right? And then we will convert this to a whole number, And when we do count it off to a whole number, what is it going to be? It will most definitely give us an 80, right? Now we are done. Let's move on to another question. Now, I hope guys this is I'm explaining it well and you are able to understand now, because I don't like it when like I teach and someone doesn't understand at all. Right. So now let's go on to number question 1. So question 1 right here, um question 1a, they say calculate the following amounts, right? So we have a percentage and a whole number. Now, so since we have a percentage and a whole number, we must calculate the amount of this. So basically, we must get 20% of 80 rands. 20% of 80 rands, and you know that of equals to what? When you see of in mathematics, what do you think of? You do think of a multiplication. So when you see of in mathematics, you must think of a multiplication, nothing else, just multiplication, just like that. Now, so now let's actually do number A. Let's calculate number A using a calculator and without the use of a calculator. Right. So number A, we had 20%. We had 20% of 80 rands. It was actually 80 rands. So we have 20% of 80 rands. So let me show you how you would do this using a calculator. Most definitely would say 20 divided by 100 multiply by 80, right? And your answer will be 16. Then you are done. This is what you do to verify your answer. But then when we try to calculate it without using a calculator and trying to use our minds, right? So what you would do, most especially, I like to say, for example, this one, you see, it's much easier, guys. It's much easier. Why am I saying that? Let's say you don't have a calculator and you just want to think instantly. So you will ask yourself, right, what is 20% of 80 rands? Maybe you will start by saying you will start by saying what is 50% of 80 rands, and then you would get 40. That's 50% of 80 rands, right? And then again you would think, okay, if 40 rand is 50% of 80 rand, then now what is 50% of 40 rand, which makes it 25%, right? And then that will be 20 rand. So now you know that your answer must be less than 20 rand, because 25% is 20 rands. Now your answer must be less than 20 rands. Why? Because 20 rands equals to 25%. So your answer might be approximately somewhere between 18 rands or 16 rands. That's when you are thinking about it. But let's do it the way we are used to now. So in this case, obviously, this is the way we try to do it without the use of a calculator, right? So we have 20 over 100, obviously, multiply by 80 over 1. Guys, this is how we calculate when we multiply our fractions. You know that, right? We did this a week ago. Right, so first thing first, when we are multiplying fractions, what do we need to do? We need to, yes, we need to simplify, which is getting our highest common factor. So let's write it down here. Let's write it down here. Multiply by 8. You guys, I almost wrote 1, 2 over 1, right? So this is what we would do. We need to simplify, get the highest common factor for opposite numbers, but in this case 20 and 1 No highest common factor. Basically it's 1, but it won't change anything, right? And then we have 80 and 100. So what is the highest common factor for 80 and 100? Right, so our highest common factor for 80 and 100 is what? Most definitely it is 20. It's 20. Now, so we need to divide both these numbers by a 20. Oh, sorry, by a 20. So we'll say 100 divide by 20, and we will get our highest, our simplified fractions basically. So let's write our new fraction right here. We'll have 20 over, so how much is 20 divided by 5? 20 divided by 5, right, so now we must say 20 multiplied by 4. 20 multiplied by 4, how much is it? It's 80. Now, over 5 multiplied by 1 equals to 5. Sure. Guys, do you see that when we simplify our numbers, it's actually not difficult. It makes it easier for us to multiply the numbers using our head. Nah, because you can see this one, 20 multiplied by 4. Guys, you can literally count that using your hand. 20, 40, 60, 80. And 5 multiplied by 1, it's 5. Any number that is multiplied by 1 is that particular number. That's what I've been taught as well. When I was still in school, they would tell me any number that is multiplied by 1, it's that particular number. Even a million multiplied by 1, it's million. So any number multiplied by 1, it's that particular number, right? So now let's move on. We'll say 80 divided by 100. How much is 80 divided by 5? So now we are thinking about 100. 80 divided by 5. So how much is 80 divided by 5? 80 divided by 5 gives us a 16. So guys, you will use this method, you see, without using a calculator. You see this one, you can definitely use this without using a calculator, and you can just use a calculator to verify your answers, to check if you are correct or not. So this is our answer 16 using a calculator, and without the use of a calculator we are also getting a 16, right? So now let's move on to the next question. So the next question was basically, the next question is the same. Now, so the next question is, we have 85% of 160. 160. So we have 85% of 160. So now, using a calculator, what would we do? We would say 85 divided by 100 multiply by 160. This is us using a calculator, guys. This is not us trying to do this thing by head. Basically, this is us doing it with our calculator, right? So 85, our answer will most definitely be 136. That will be our answer for 85% of 160. 85% of 160 is 136, right? Okay, so now let's do it without the use of a calculator. So without the use of a calculator, most definitely we have 85, right? We have 85 over 100 over 100 multiplied by 160 over 1. Why? Because Now we are working with fractions, and we want to multiply using fractions. So in this case, you know guys, when we are multiplying fractions and we have a whole number, this is what we do. We say that particular whole number divide by 1. Name. So you know the drill, guys. With multiplication of fractions, we need to simplify. That is very important. So in this case, it's obvious we need to simplify 100 and 160 because there is a highest common factor in this case. There is most definitely a highest common factor. We can't say there's no highest common factor like 85 and 1. No. 85 and 1 is our highest common factor, but it won't change anything. Yes. So what is our highest common factor for 100 and 160? What is it? What is it? It's most definitely 20. Again, it's 20. Ne? So we'll divide both these numbers by their highest common factor, which is a 20. Ne? So 100 divide by 20. Right. So now let's write our new clean simplified fraction. 85 didn't change. You still remember, right? It didn't change. So there goes our 85 over 5. Right, because 100 divided by 20 equals to 5. Nay. So 160 divided by 20, that gives us an 8 over 1. Nay. Right, so now we need to multiply. Guys, when you're multiplying a fraction, the most important thing to do is to get to simplify your fractions, and then after that you multiply, and then after multiplying your final answer obviously is going to be simplified, right? So this is what we will do then. 85 multiplied by 8, it gives us what? Yes, it gives us 680. Name. And then when we are done, we will say 5 multiplied by 1. And I told you guys, any number multiplied by 1 is that particular number, which is 5 in this case. Name. So after doing this, guys, you know that we must simplify. We can't leave an improper fraction like this as our answer. It's either we convert it to a mixed fraction or a whole number, right? So what is 680 divided by 5? It gives us 136, right? So it means we are correct. This is our answer using a calculator, and this is our answer without the use of a calculator. Now, guys, and in this case, maybe you would ask yourself, how will I multiply 8? How will I multiply 8 with 85 without using a calculator? What you can do, I loved doing this when I was still in grade 8 and grade 7. If I don't have a calculator and they would ask me such a question, guys, add 85 5 times. Say 85 plus 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 85. Add 85 8 times, guys. Add it 8 times, and then you will reach your 680. This is just exercising your mind. You understand? Just exercise your mind and actually go the extra mile for your books. You understand? It's actually a very good exercise for your patience too, just to be a guide there. You understand? So I feel like this is really good, guys. So let's go back to our slides. Okay. So we'll do question 2. Guys, for this 2, you will do it as your home activity number C and number D. Name. So we'll go to question number 2. They say write the following as percentages. So what do you do when you actually write the following as a percentages? This is how you would do it using your calculator, right? This is how you would do it using your calculator. what you would say, guys, and this skill right here, ne, it's very crucial. Why? Because you can use it when you are, most importantly, when you get your marks at school. Let's say you got 40 over 100, 40 over 50, for example, ne? And you want to see the percentage that you got for that particular test. What you can do in order to get your percentage, you must multiply by 100. When you want to find a percentage, you must keep it in your mind. I told you that when you think of a percentage, you must think of 100. When you see 20%, it means that it's 20 over 100. And when you want to find a percentage, you must multiply by 100. You can't do it any other way. Ne? So in this case, we have number A. So let's say maybe this person got 17 over 20 for a maths test. So now we want to see their percentage. How much did they get as a percentage? Their percentage. Ne? So what we would do, we would take that what that person received out of the total marks overall. So this person got 17 over 20, and then we would multiply that by 100 over 1, and this is what we would get. 85% is their percentage that they received. Now, this is us using a calculator. Now, so now let's go on to us again, number B, also using a calculator and not actually doing it with our mind, but I will also show you how we can do it using our mind and exercising our mind a bit, you know. So now we have 12 minutes of 1 hour. Guys, what is, ne? I'm just asking the question. What is an hour in minutes? You got that one right. It's 60 minutes, ne? And most importantly in math, guys, we love to use the same values, ne? Multiplying the same values. We can't say, for example, I love using this example, ne? We can't say 1 rand multiply by $1. Like, we can't do that. Ne? If you want to find out how much is $5, how much is $5 in rands? Ne? We can't say $5 multiply by 5. Actually, what I'm trying to say is that we can't say $5 is equals to 5 rands. That's what I'm trying to say, ne, guys? That's what I'm trying to say. So in this case, we must convert and receive the same value, ne? Same units. In this case, we must use the same units. So we can't use minutes and hours. We can't multiply minutes with hours. We have to multiply minutes with minutes, multiply hours with hours, multiply rands with rands, multiply dollars with dollars. If you have to multiply a dollar and a rand, one of them must be converted to the particular one. Ne? We can't multiply minutes and hours in this case. Ne? So we need to convert this hour to minutes. Ne? Or we can also convert minutes to hours, but in this case we are converting hours to minutes. So what is 1 hour? How many minutes are there in an hour? Yes, we have 60 minutes, right? So in this case we'll have 12 minutes over 60 minutes multiplied by 100, and we will have 20%. That's our answer. So now let's do it without the use of a calculator. Let's do it without the use of a calculator. So when we actually do it without the use of a calculator, we'll start with number A. Next, so we had 17 out of 20, right? And then this is what we'll do without the using of a calculator. You still remember we are trying to find a percentage, next, out of 1. So now you know that when we are multiplying fractions, what do? We simplify first, and you can see that this opposite numbers can be simplified. It's 1, and you know 1 won't change anything, right? So here we have 20 and 100. So we must get our highest common factor. Nay, so what is our highest common factor? It's 20, guys. It's 20, name. It's 20. So we'll divide these numbers by 20, which is 20, and this 100 right here. This one right here. So we will have 17. This is me writing the new fractions now. So we 17 over 1, because 20 divided by 20 equals to 1, right? And guys, another skill that I'm trying to give you, remember I gave you the skill of saying any number multiplied by 1 equals to that particular number. If it's a million, equals to a million. If it's 5, equals to 5. No. So again, another skill. If we are dividing the same numbers, it's going to give you 1. Like 1000 divided by 1000 equals to 1. Million divided by million equals to 1. 1 billion divided by 1 billion equals to a 1. No. Right. In this case, 100 divided by 20 equals to 5. Yes. You see, guys, we are not dealing with difficult numbers. No. And then 17 multiplied by 5 equals to 85. And you remember that the question was asking you to find a percentage. Don't forget to put your percentage sign, because it's very important, guys. In mathematics, you need to state your units. It's very important to state your units, guys. It's very important. State your units and you'll be fine. Don't forget to put your percentage sign right there. So guys, we'll finish off the remaining work tomorrow. Please join me again. Thank you so much for joining me again and again and again and again. I appreciate you so much, very, very, very much, guys. So for your home activity, what you would do, you would complete this one right here without using a calculator, which is number B, and you will also complete number C and D. And again, you will complete number A and B from this question. Nay, thank you so much, guys, for joining me. And don't forget to follow Africa 10 Gigs. Like, this is doing wonders for us. Thank you so much, guys. I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.